Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We are a little late calling it order this evening due to technical adjustments we needed to make, but the proposed bylaw 25B 01 zoning bylaw amendment. Let's call on Vivian.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a brief presentation for this proposed bylaw, just to refresh our memories on this file and to give the public an idea on what's going on here. So this is a proposed bylaw number 25B 2101, proposed rezoning on South Street. Moving on to slide number 2. The applicant is Terry Lee, and the property PID is 151-74642. On the map to the right, is the property outlined in a light blue color. So as you can see, it's a pretty wooded piece of property, and it has not been developed. The proposed rezoning is from an R2 zone to an R1 zone. And the reasoning behind it is to develop this vacant piece of property by locating a new mini home as the main use of the land. Moving on to the next slide. Mini homes have very limited uses under the zoning bylaw. Under its current zone, R2 zone, it's not an allowed main use, but people can use it as a garden suite with terms and conditions. So that's only a secondary use. In R1 zone, a mini home is an allowed main use, but with terms and conditions, and that's why the applicant is proposed to rezone this property. Moving on to the next slide. This is a zoning map of the region overlaid on top of a satellite image of the region as well. So the big orange dot in the center indicates the subject property. And as you can see, most properties on South Street are zoned as R2. Towards river crossing on the right of the property, there's a pocket of residential development. On the other side of the subject property, where the big piece of brown piece of land is, that's a mini home park that's zoned as RLL. So this area is pretty much a residential area, and we are rezoning it to another residential zone. So pretty much compatible and shouldn't cause any concerns. There are several municipal plan policies in support of this rezoning. Section 3.3.13, council shall promote residential growth promote residential growth within the primary growth areas. Section 3.3.16, council proposes to work with landowners in the primary growth areas to encourage either the sale or development of these lands. And section 4.3.11, it shall be a policy of council to encourage a diverse range of housing options. And if we move on to the next slide, this is a map from the municipal plan. And the blue arrow is pointing at the subject property. So it's showing that it's within the primary growth area and those policies apply. And the second last slide is just showing you the wording of this proposed bylaw and what the zoning map will look like after rezoning. So this is a bylaw to amend bylaw number 25B, being the zoning bylaw for the town of St. George. The proposed bylaw number 25B-2101 would rezone PID 151-74642 from a residential mix R2 to a single family residential R1. And if this property is successfully rezoned, it still has to go through a terms and conditions with PRAC because the zoning bylaw requires this under section 4.2.1. And if council has any specific concerns regarding this development, let's say, for example, council wants low visibility of a mini home from the street, we can suggest some terms and conditions to PRAC. For example, the applicant needs to have a buffer between the house and the road, or the mini home has to be set back certain feet. So there are certain terms and conditions that can help with that. And I believe the last slide is no longer applicable because that's from the first hearing. So Yeah, so Pat already provided a letter of support to council. And the next step would be third hearing, and if successful, third reading, and if successful rezoned, then we'll go through terms and conditions with that. That's all from me. No problem.
Vivian, just one question.
Sure.
The letter that was from Southwest Service Commission, right at the very bottom, it says SNBSC plan staff. They proved that they wanted to have to go through this, but the council should also consider the effects of spot zoning.
Right. So,
I think I have an idea what spot zoning is.
right. So spot zoning is something that council, it's just like an FYI note to council, basically, because spot zoning is when there is a obvious land conflict in the rezoning. So let's say if this one is not to be rezoned to a residential zone, it is to be rezoned to an industrial zone, and it's an obvious land use conflict, and it's definitely not compatible. So that's called spot zoning.
But this one here is compatible. So what would
This
they-
one is compatible, yeah. So this is like an FYI to council for future rezoning application. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
no problem.
Concludes this. Any other questions?
Your worship, we did not hear, there was no response or any concerns raised prior to this.
So this concludes the